everybody. I'm Chad Eckert. That is not Eric Martins, but you are watching the Fantasy Golf Pod. You can follow us, as always, on Twitter at Fantasy Golf Pod. Today, I have a PGA DFS OG, the host of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates Podcast, a weekly contributor at GupsCorner.com. Kenny Kim, welcome. What up, dude?
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. Glad to be on. Glad to be talking about golf. It seems like the last 2 months I've sort of been away from it now, and I'm ready to get back into it with the Colonial coming up here soon.
Kenny Kim, a legend, dude. I'm so appreciative of your time and that you're coming onto this little podcast and talking to us. It's amazing. We appreciate you. You are Kendo VT on Twitter. And Kenny, if you're not familiar with the Fantasy Golf Pod, we are guys who correct beers and click names. And you, my friend, are a guy who pours the crowd.
I already got it ready. I'm hungover. Last night, Fridays are my nights now since this new job came around. And so, I ended up getting hammered on Friday nights now, and that's about it. And so I'm still a little bit hungover. You can see me sweating out all the booze. But you know what the best cure for a hangover is?
More drinking.
The next drink.
Yes, definitely. Are you only drinking Crown Royal? Because I'm strictly a beer drinker. I've, have a glass of red wine every once in a while with a steak or whatever. But are you strictly a Crown drinker?
Yeah, I don't like beer. I'm not a fan. I like my beer to taste like water if I ever drink beer. So I drink a lot of Coors Light if I'm on the golf course or something. That's the only time you'll catch me drinking a beer usually.
Now, are you drinking it on the rocks? You just drink it straight? How do you drink that thing?
It's just straight.
Yeah, straight up. Okay.
Straight.
And, my brother's a big whiskey guy. He was asking me, hey, you should ask this Kenny guy, what's he do with all those purple bags? Do you get a purple bag every time you get that dang bottle and you do something with that thing? Or what do you do?
I have a bunch. I probably threw away over 100 of them. I used to have a lot. I got rid of them all. It just took up too much space. There was just so many purple bags around my house all the time, so I had to get rid of them.
What about the flavored Crown? He said that there's flavors of Crown. I didn't even know this, but apparently there are. Do you do that?
Nah.
Just the regular shit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, right on. Kenny, like I said, is the co-host of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates Podcast with Tyler Tamboline, Toe Tag and Tambo, a real solid dude, someone that I actually align a lot of my thinking with every week. I'm typically nodding along with what Tyler says. Tyler's a sharp dude. You have possibly one of the best intros to a podcast out there.
Yeah, you know where that came from, right?
I've been getting dirty money, talking about firm. Petty stocks, small, these birds. Dude, it's the best. Where does it come from? Yeah, tell me.
We took it from the whole spring break, spring break 2K16 or whatever, when Fowler and Spieth and JT and all those guys went to, I think it was Bermuda or the Bahamas.
The Bahamas, yeah. Okay. Because I was going to say, I remember when I first started listening to you guys with, what's his face?
Zach.
Yeah, it was a different
Zach
song,
Woods.
I remember.
Yeah, it was definitely a different song. I think it was like Creedence. I don't remember. But during that time, they're posting on social media, and that was like their song, and it's been that for the last 3-4 years.
Let's see. Now, you mentioned that you're hungover on a Saturday. That's not normal because you're typically going to work on a Saturday at 4:30, right?
Yeah, no, not anymore. A new job. I got out of the restaurant industry. I'm working in construction now. Cool. So, I got to get up. I'm going to bed at like 8:30, waking up at like 3:30 in the morning to go to work. Okay. Usually I go to bed around 6:30 in the morning when I worked in a restaurant. So it was definitely a little bit of a change. No more Kenny After Dark. Maybe we'll do breakfast.
I was wondering. I was so sad because Kenny After Dark. If you're not familiar, Kenny used to get up or get off work and start tweeting, start researching, doing some late night tweeting. So we're going to not see that anymore? Are you going to have normal hours of tweeting?
Probably. It's going to be like Breakfast with Kenny or something like that from now on. I don't think it's going to be Kenny After Dark. I mean, maybe one day, but I mean, even last night, I could barely stay awake. So times have changed, and luck. It was just pure luck too, because the restaurant industry is suffering so much right now. So I got lucky.
Yeah, well, now you might have to change your answer after you get used to this new gig. But what's your weekly process like? Are you doing the podcast Monday nights, and so you're getting all your research in Mondays typically?
Well, the job we haven't done the pod since the job started, so we're going to start the pod here soon. in the next few weeks, getting geared up for the Colonial. Hopefully it happens, which everyone's praying for. So we're gonna come back with this a little break. I mean, we're gonna record on Mondays. We'll probably record a little bit earlier. You would typically record around 10 or 11 o'clock at night Eastern, but that's gonna have to change. Tyler knows too, and all the nice stuff you said about Tyler. He's one of the best out there. I mean, he's the reason the show runs. I consider myself like the comic relief, who really doesn't know too much about anything and just gets lucky sometimes. But Tyler's the guy that you should listen to on the pod.
So how did you get hooked up with the pod itself? Did they gift it to you once your boy left and then you were just involved, or?
It was random. So Zach Woods.
Yeah, Zach Woods. I'm not familiar. I guess I got into the industry a little bit after him. I saw you guys with Brad typically.
Yeah, it was late 2015. I'd started writing for DFS On Demand, Rick Gaiman's site, back then about 5 years ago. And so Zach liked my work, and he was like, let's start a podcast. He just DM'd me randomly out of the blue. Like, I didn't even know the guy. And so like the next week we did the podcast.
And then it's been on ever since.
It's been on ever since.
He stopped doing it.
Yeah, Brad came on. We were three it started with me and Zach, and then like a month or two later we added Brad, and then Zach left after about a year, and it was me and Brad for the next 2.5 years, and then Tyler came along.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do a lot of contributing to websites, and you've done it over the years and stuff like that. We've been following you along. What do you do now? You're with Gup's Corner. That's pretty sweet. Gup's the man. Tell us about your role there.
Well, he's a great guy, first off. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. A very loyal guy. Really hooked us up on that DFS Open trip. I can't explain how friendly he was and how nice.
That's all I've heard. Everyone I've talked to, everyone said Gup's the man. Gup basically sponsored the whole thing.
Yeah.
Gup's like the dude that comes out of his pocket, takes his shirt off his back, gives it to you.
Exactly. Yeah, good guy. And so, I mean, what I'm doing there is I'm just doing my course preview. That's, I guess, what I've been known for over the years, giving a detailed course preview, because, of course, that's always an important factor in DFS. You got to know, how the course plays out. So which golfers have their strengths this week and which ones will have their weaknesses this week. It's always important. So, I list that out. And then later on in the week, I'll do a list of my favorite cash game plays that are outside my cash game cornerstones on the pod. So I do the 4 cash game cornerstones on the pod. I guess that's what I'm known for as well. The one thing I can do is I'm pretty decent at cash. And it's not very lucrative. It's not glorious, but it keeps the bankroll steady. And so, that's why it's important, I think, to blend in cash with your GPPs. Not everyone can be Tyler. You can't win a GPP every 3 months all the time. So, that's not normal. So I write that, and then I do about 6 other guys I like in all these different other price ranges in cash for the week. And then they have that Slack chat over there, which is always fun. Bunch of 1,500 members on their Slack chat. So, you get a lot of conversation over there, a lot of questions. Gup's on there often. So, I've sort of been taking a back seat on that because there's no golf. I can't get down with the minor league tours. I'm just not the biggest fan. Now, I did buy myself one of those outlaw sweatshirts, the hoodies, because they were great looking. They're incredible looking. Yeah, they're sweet. So I had to buy one of those. But I've always been more of a pro guy. I like watching the best in the world. So I'm not a big college basketball fan. I'm not the biggest college football fan. I'd rather watch the pros. Now in golf, it's a little bit different because the line between a pro and a minor league is, that much. Yeah, very, very. It's just 1 or 2 little things, but still, I'd rather see the best in the world.
Okay. Now you talk about cash, but do you play GPPs? Has it resulted in you with a legendary story and a mega profit to pay some bills? I know you've won before, but I'm a small. I don't play the big money things, so I'll play all the GPPs, like the $5, the $3.20 max, the $1.20 max. If there's a $5, if there's an $8, I'll play those single digit ones. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And so
that's what we are.
Yeah. So it's not like the biggest prizes, but I won a GPP a few years ago, the $3 in the RBC Canadian Open. It was Vegas winning. I was actually at a pool with this chick I was dating, and I didn't have access to a TV. And so I was just, refreshing. And it was a funny sweat because I didn't even get to see it because I was trying to bang this chick. And it worked out. I won the money and you got the bang, and so we're good. And so that was one of them. That was a good one. And I've won a whole bunch of Showdown GPPs. I won like 4, I think.
I was going to ask you about this because I can't figure out Showdown. I'm terrible at Showdown. What's your strategy and your secret? Do you have one, or are you just guessing?
I mean, I'm just guessing, really. Right. But I get a little bit of stuff. I mean, I guess the big thing on Showdown is, the main thing, what people think right now is, and it's a good thought, is if they crush with their irons and they suck with their putter, then maybe they have a chance tomorrow. But you got to dive a little bit deeper. What if the guy sucks at putting and he was great with his irons and he's usually a good putter, then yes, but if he's usually a shitty putter, then it's just normal shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just normal stuff. And it goes the other way too. If somebody is crushing their putter one day and then their irons are off, but they're usually a good iron player, I mean, you got to look at the strengths and the weaknesses of golfers when you go into the Showdown, not just go blindly on stats. At least the night before, stats.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you write the course preview. You've got that extensive course breakdown. You kind of probably have a nice little knowledge base of each course out there. Do you think course history matters? Are you a course history truther?
Yeah. I don't think it's as big as I once thought it was, but I still look at it. In my process, it's probably the 4th or 5th thing I look at, one of the bottom ones. If a guy consistently plays well of the course, I mean, a limited course history really doesn't mean shit. If it's like 2, 3, 4 times, that's really nothing. But, you look at some guys who've played like a Charles Howell at Sony or something like that, or, guys who just like make every single cut for like 18 straight years or some crazy thing like that. Well, yeah, they probably know the course pretty well. And it can also go the other way. If a guy who usually plays well at a course, this is where it gets tricky though, because you have to look back at, their form in that time as well. If they're playing a lot better now and they played shitty at those courses those 3 years in a row, but they weren't half the player they are now, well, then that changes everything. So, you look at everything. I don't know. I don't have a set thing, when it comes down to it. But, course history is probably 4th or 5th. I look at it, but not as strongly as I used to. I sort of changed that up a little bit.
So what's number 1? Is it ownership?
No, it's course fit and stats.
Okay.
And trends on the course, like if the course, if a course has a place where it's primarily a ball striker course or something like that, or if it's a course where you have to avoid 3 putts or, something like that, that would be the process. It would be the fit of the course, and then the recent stats, and then long-term stats. Recent, I'd go 50 rounds for my recent. 12 and 50 is what I look at, and I use Fantasy National with Moose, and I also use Gups Corners stat model as well. So I have both of those going, and so I'll look at that. Then I'll look at long-term stats, and then I'll look at course history and stuff like that. And then ownership comes in right there as well. But since I'm more of a cash player, I don't really, yeah. And GPPs I will, but in my cash lineups, I'll have like guys who are like 60% owned, and I don't give a fuck.
Do you have a pool for cash, or are you playing one lineup?
I play one lineup.
Okay.
So I usually spend about $500 a week, $400 to $500 a week, in entry fees, and I'll do like 275 GPPs, 225 cash. So if I win in cash with that one lineup, it's going to be a winning week because, I'm not going to not win anything in GPPs. Hopefully.
You are known as the cash game cornerstone guy. What goes into the criteria for a cash game cornerstone?
Everything I just said, recent form, the stats lining up, it's their course. And then I actually put a little bit more emphasis in course history and cash. In GPPs, I don't. It's definitely on the bottom in GPPs, but in cash, it course history bumps up just a little bit.
Okay, cool. So then are you using a player pool in GPPs? And if so, how many people do you click in there?
I'm usually making close to like 70 to 100 lineups. Just depends on how much I'm spending. that week if it's 400 or 500, or sometimes we go a little bit over. And then I usually try and stay around 30 to 35 golfers in those GPP lineup.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And like I'd say about 12, anywhere from 9 to 13 are going to be in the 6K range.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got a lot of flyers.
I like to spread that out in that bottom range to try and match up with the studs up top.
Do you ever go all in on a guy, or who's your one that you love the most at like 9,300? Are you 60% exposure, or is that too high?
50 is the most I'll go on a guy.
Okay.
So usually I have like one guy at 50, one guy at 40, and then like 2, 3, 4 guys at like 35. And that's like my core right there.
It feels like everybody's kind of the same way, but it ultimately comes down to what you want to do, what your risk tolerance is, and how much money you're spending on this stuff. And everybody's kind of got their own individual styles of play. It's fun to listen and hear from people. We got to talk to you though, since I got you on the pod, about some of the stories that you've shared through the years on the pod.
Yeah.
You've lived kind of an eventful life compared to a white, married, live in suburbia, a minivan away from being a lame square like me. But like, you've got some stories. You're living the actual Playboy lifestyle. You're single, living it up, right? What do you do? What do you do with your life? My God.
I mean, like, I like being single. Like, I enjoy being able to do whatever the fuck I want to do whenever the fuck I want to do it. So I'm a fan of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to, I like women. So, I'll try and bang as many as I can. But I mean, that's the extent that it's gone so far. Except for a few. There's been about 3 or 4 different ladies that really had me. But other than that, it's I just like doing what I want to do. I mean, how if I had kids and a wife, and I understand the value of family. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that shit.
Sure.
I mean, I understand. I mean, that's a good thing, having comfort like that. But personally, I'd rather do what the fuck I want to do.
Dude, I don't think we didn't see you rip 2 shots while everyone was ripping 1 shot at that DFS Open over there.
Yeah. I tend to drink a little bit on occasion. I guess I'm known for that.
No, you're known for some crazy stories too. You've had some interesting stories, and like the bathroom incident, and that one. Then you got like a bunch of golf course stories. Those are the fun ones that maybe are. What's your favorite story of you on a golf course having an interesting time?
Probably the strip club golf tournament that I went to. It was at Royal New Kent, right outside of Richmond. It's a golf course, and I used to know a guy who was a member there after this so-called strip club tournament. It was Paper Moon Strip Club. There's one in Springfield, there's one in Richmond, so there's a shout out to the strip club right there. I guess we can't go now, but whatever. I talked to this guy. He was a member there, and he said he heard stories like myths, like an urban legend about this like strip club tournament at his club, and he was talking to me about it. I was like, yeah, I was there. Yeah, I played that shit. So I mean, so it was fun. They had strippers on every hole. On the tee box, little lap dance there on the tee box, and then they assisted the balls into the hole on the putting greens with different parts of their body. Okay. I don't know if kids are gonna watch the show, so I'm like, yeah, we'll keep it like there. And so one of the funnest parts was so we had about 500 in singles, left. It was probably 13 hole. And so, we're on the tee box, and it was I think it was between the 9th and 10th hole. So there was like a gaggle, like a conglomerate of strippers, just all right by that tee box. So we hit the drives on 10, and and we get our little lap dances, and they're like, we don't give them a tip. Like, what the fuck? And so, we get in the car, we get in the golf car. We're like, hey girls, here's your tip. And we drive down the fairway, in the middle of the fairway, and we just start throwing the dollar bills in the air, like outside of the car. And so we turn around, there's like a gaggle of strippers in like high heels running down the fairway, like grabbing dollar bills out of there. That was fun. I actually passed out by the 14th hole because I was so hammered. And there's a picture of me probably in the Hooters in Roanoke, because I went with the GM of the Hooters in Roanoke. He's the one who invited me to that tournament, of me asleep in the golf cart with just stripper titties all over my face. and I'm just asleep like this.
Just passed out.
Just skipper titty.
Were they wearing stilettos down the fairway?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. They were crushing.
They're crushing the fairway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that the course was really pissed off. I don't think they knew exactly what they were getting into.
Probably not.
But it was a hell of a time.
So then, a golf. Now, I saw you get roasted by Max Homa on Twitter. That was pretty classic. Yeah, that was deserving. But so, how bad are you really at golf? Are you good or are you bad?
I played Sunday. I shot 88. Okay. It's just my drive is the worst part of my game, as you can see from that video. I get maybe 1 out of every 2 drives out well, if I'm lucky. Sometimes 1 out of every 3, and that's what keeps my score low. My iron play is pretty good. My short game's really good. Putting I'm putting, so I mean sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. The driver is my main issue. I can't.
Well, did you smoke that drive? Is that why you posted it?
Well, it was the only video I took, and so that's why I was hyped. I was like, okay, Ben, my boy was like, take this video. I actually planned on having Max Homa look at it because this is the first time I've been out since the virus hit, and I crushed it. I hit that shit like 265, which is long for me. That's long for me. Right down the middle, a little bit of a draw, a little bit of a low liner. It was nice, but I mean, it's a horrible swing.
Okay, Kenny, what's next with you? What are you guys going to do this fall or this summer? I guess. What are we going to have golf?
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, the thing is, like, outdoor stuff, as long as everyone's not really confined spaces. From what I've read, I'm no fucking expert. Right. I mean, like,
where are you? You're in DC, right?
Yeah, I'm about 15 miles west of DC. So,
So is that where the Kendo VT comes from? Is that Virginia Tech, or do you care about Virginia?
Yeah, that's where I went to school.
Okay.
Graduated from Virginia Tech.
My brother lived in Richmond. He lived in Short Pump for a little while.
Okay, yeah. That's a nice area down there. But yeah, I can't believe I graduated. I don't know how I got my degree, but I got it.
You have a degree.
It was the best 6 years of my life. Maybe 6.5, I had to say, but I didn't want to leave Blacksburg. Virginia Tech was a great school.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, do you think a fall Masters is going to be chill, or are you a fan of that idea?
I mean, as long as they're playing, I don't care. I think it's going to change a lot. I mean, I don't even think it's fall. What is it, like in September?
It's like November, I thought.
Oh, is it that late? Like I said, I haven't been paying attention too much about the golf since there hasn't been any golf. And, honestly, this is the longest break I've had from putting out content.
I was going to ask.
In like almost 5 years.
That's
so doing it, grinding it out on a weekly basis for 5 straight years. These last 2 months, it sucked that I haven't been able to watch golf or gamble on golf, but not putting anything out, not having to worry about deadlines and, getting stuff written and preparing for the pod. It's been okay with me. Okay. Now I'm sort of itching to get back now because it's been a long time, but it's been okay with me.
We're going to have a different Kenny too. We're going to have a corporate Kenny.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, like, I'm not telling the people at work about the podcast. Don't get me wrong. So
yeah, exactly. That's smart. Yes, I know you. Well, Kenny, I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And like, seriously, continue to dominate and continue to push Gup's Corner. Go there, sign up, listen to this, download on iTunes, Fantasy Golf Degenerates Podcast. Listen to Tyler and Kenny. It's an amazing podcast. It's one of the originals. It's one of the ones I listen to. It's a great one. Thanks for the time, dude. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.